Right, here we go. Going into my second of my series of paintings of the pond. This time I'm going to do watercolour, so it shouldn't be quite such a long video as the last one. I've decided with my watercolours that I am not going to try and paint like anybody anymore. I've tried to paint like Ron Ranson, I've tried to paint like other people, and I just think what I'm going to do now is paint like me, and if it works it works, and if it doesn't it doesn't. So that's what we're getting now. We're getting me paintings. So I've soggied the sky. There's a lot going to be happening down here, so I won't be doing too much in the sky. So I'll get some ultramarine. I'm using my adapted Ron Ranson palette. Don't know if you can see that. The light's very strange in here today, I don't know why. I've got lemon yellow, ultramarine, alizarin, raw sienna, light red, burnt umber, Payne's grey, to which I've added cadmium red and hooker's green, just because I like both of those colours. And it might not be purism, but there we go. Right, soaked in a little bit. Lots and lots of blue, because it will dry somewhere between 30 and 50% lighter. More water as I come towards the right. It's very shiny on that bit over there. I'm not sure why. Something definitely weird happening with the light tonight. Right, okay, that's there. Put some more blue in the top. Let it run down. Speed up the running down a little bit. Let that stay as it is for now. Take out some clouds. Right, there we go. Stretch that out a little bit. Right, okay. Now I'm going to use my little 1/2 inch flat squirrel and mix up ultramarine blue, burnt umber, touch of alizarin, touch more ultramarine, get myself a nice grey purpley colour. I'm just going to put in, while that's still damp, range of hills right in the far background behind everything else. Now they'll fade. Just using a damp brush to pull out some little highlights, give it a little bit of shape. Where I've taken that out, and mix up some raw sienna with the colour I painted it. Still need it to be fairly thick, so I don't want it to back run. Needs to actually be thicker than the paint's already there, but a lighter colour. Now, where that's fading away into distance, I'll get some of my raw sienna, and into that I'll mix a tiny tad of the hooker's green, and some of that browny colour just to keep it together. And there, got a distant wash. Put a little bit more of the raw sienna on top of it where it gets closer here. I'm not painting around anything, I'm just going straight over all where my drawing used to be. And again, dry out the brush and put in some little bits of light and shade. There. Like that. Whoops. There goes my camera. I'm trying it off the new place at the moment, which gives you a far better view of the paper, but unfortunately it's right over my head, so there may be the odd head jerk reaction. Right, I'm going to leave that to dry for a little bit there, and come forward still with my little 1/2 inch brush and mix up some of the ultramarine, touch of alizarin. I just want to put in this pond. Which is basically the same colour as the sky. Not mad keen on that there, it's a bit too alizarin-y. Grey it down a bit and I'll just soften that up a little bit. This is made up, but it's obviously in the UK, so it's going to be cloudy. Just thinking earlier on how lovely people are. I had an email from my vet earlier on this afternoon saying that the dog's flea and worming treatment were due, and we get them free. Well, not free, but it's a prepaid scheme. And as we were vulnerable type people, did she want them to deliver them to us, which I thought was really nice. People don't need to do things like that, and yet they do. There. Damp brush, soften some of the edges. There we go. Right, That's getting quite dry now. Just do, before I do the middle ground there, I'll put something in this foreground, make sure everything is nice and dry before I go into it. Making a really rich green. I've got the raw sienna, some of the alizarin, and I'm putting in a great wodge, technical term, great wodge of the lemon yellow, and that should get me a fairly strong greeny colour for the foreground. Now while that's still damp, I shall get some of the hookers, mix it up with some cadmium, a really bright summer grass green, just blob some of that into there. While I'm in there, get some of the light red, mix that into it, and just break up the wash with some dark tones as well. Right, I put the foreground in. I know how strong that needs to be now, so now I know how strong that needs to be. I know the sort of tones I'll need for the mid-range, so I'm going to mix up a bluey green for some trees about there, ultramarine lemon, touch of the hookers, put some shadow underneath that. I'm still using a big brush, very thick paint, the alizarin, the ultramarine, touch of the Payne's grey. I'm mixing this into that bluey green colour to make it the same but darker. All I'm going to do that to the bottom of those trees. Just pull out one or two little trunks, branches, whatever. Don't want much detail there because the main focus is going to be these trees in the foreground. Now, a bit bluier. If I could find out what I'd done with my there he is. Sorry, lost for words then, looking for my little squirrel mop. Again, lots of blue, nice thick mess of blue. Touch of the hookers. Mix them together, just a tiny touch of the umber. Now don't have me bald heads in the way. I'm not used to where this camera is yet. I'm trying to keep it out of the way. Now, quarter the ½ inch again, and cadmium yellow, lots of. Touch of the blue, touch of the green, and here I want a nice sunny field going right the way across there. There. Now let that dry. Just pick up the bottom of those trees into that grassy colour. Sort of bed them in. Yeah, starting to get somewhere now. Just going to put in a little path. At the top there, while I think about it, great posts. Finger post. There. Now I'm going to put big trees on that side, some bushes behind them, which I'll do next. Well, no, I'll put the tree trunks in next. And for the tree trunks, I'm going to use... Oh, I'm not. Going to use the... Where's my number 8? Lurking somewhere. Okay, I'll use my number 6. And very, very thick raw sienna on its own. That's a SAA sable brush, and you can see the amount of paint that's holding now, and yet it still comes to a tiny little point, and yet when I want it to, it spreads out. Right, now I know roughly where they're going. I will use my little mop, and there's me bit of mank. Right, there you go, that used to be my dressing gown. I thought I might as well rip it up rather than wash it. There we go. Okay, now before I put the darks on there, I'm going to mix some bluey green to go in the back for a bush. I'll put more darks in that after, I'll do it now. Some Payne's grey into this greeny colour just as it covers up the stuff in the background. I'll pull out some light colours afterwards. This is just okay, that's got that in place. Now, use my number 4, which is practically a rigger. It's got a very nice long tip to it. Burnt umber, Payne's grey, and now Right. Now here we want these as dark as we can get them behind this bush. They're sort of growing. Right, now some grass at the bottom, shadowy grass, so we'll mix some hooker's green into this cadmium mix and some ultramarine, darken it down. Lift out some of this dark. And when it's dry, I'll put some lighter bits in there. Now while they're drying, just want to put the bushes and stuff on this side. To do that, raw sienna, cadmium, just a touch of the hooker's green, and while that's wet, mix up some very thick ultramarine, I'm just feeding in change my brush, that one's got too much water in it. Now where's the 6? There. Some dark colours. Right, I shall do some rigger work in there after, but now I need to mix up a lovely thick yellowy colour. What I'm doing is I'm mixing up a lot of yellow into the raw sienna, which should bring me somewhere near a yellow ochre colour. What I'm going to do with that, now it's nice and thick, not too wet, and while that's still wet, the green and the ultramarine, mainly ultramarine, and we do the underneath bits. some of the hookers. A little bit of the Payne's grey. Really darkest bits. Get the number 4 or the number 6, get some of this really dark colour. And just using the edge of the brush. Right, where I've got these dark bits, I'm going to put in these light bits rather. Now they're dryish. I'll put in some of the, whatever that's called, raw sienna. Some yellow. Some of the green and the blue just into that. Get some little bits blue and some light red into it. Just a dash of alizarin, and then we've got a shadowy colour. Right, okay. It's not brilliant, but it's only a demo. So now I'm going to do a little bit of rigger work, mix up some very, very dark, which is the Payne's grey. Some of the light red. Right, once again it cut off just a few seconds before I finished. Something wrong with the settings on this. I don't know what I've done, but I'll have to sort it out. Right, okay. Very little. At the end of the last video I just said I was going to do some rigger work, and so I did. Here and there you'll see I put little twigs growing up. I've done a few more branches coming out of the main trees, a couple of buzzards, well 3 buzzards up there looking for something to eat, some odd branches and things in the bush over there, and that's about it really, just a few things that I put in. And so there we go, that's the end of it, pond number 2.